the impact on the ground kind of like dictates how the fart's gonna go. It's like the metronome for your ass as you're running. It's just like, and then when you're running in Florida, you got swamp ass, so it's more like, it's just really
Neil, you're my favorite guest. Oh my god, I'm dying over here.
I'm honored.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 37 of the On the Runs podcast. I am back from Disney World, and I want to say thank you because the last time we spoke, I said, when I come back from this warm Florida weather, I want some snow so I can go skiing, and you guys delivered. There is snow on the ground. Yes, it's about 30 degrees, and it's cold, and my blood has thinned out. But I am excited to be home, ready to go skiing. Christmas is coming up. It's exciting, but we got part 2 of our best of episode. Erica, what's going on?
Not much, Newt. I missed you, bud. I'm glad you had a great vacation, but welcome home.
It feels like it's been a while. So
it honestly has. It's been a solid couple of weeks.
For all you at home listening or in your car driving, we are actually together right now at Erica's house on her comfy couch, recording some awesome podcast interviews for next month and for the beginning of 2023. And we just thought we would do this right here and say hello and what's up. So we got the best of, and I think these ones really are our best of. Talk about tears coming down your face while hearing some stories, Erica. Like, this was our first one we got here. This was someone that you pulled in. You're like, Eric, we need to talk to this guy. And I'm like, yeah. I was really busy. This was back in June.
Yep.
And I said, you know what, Erica, make it happen.
And I did. Somehow I made it happen.
You brought Neil Murphy on from Florida, and this was epic. If you remember, I just rode my bike 56 miles to get home in time for the interview because I knew having a lake day up in the mountains, I was not going to be home in time. So I jumped on the bike and I said, kids, Ashley, see you later. Rode 56 miles. That's half Ironman distance to the house. And do you remember I had that Pedialyte bottle and I'm like, my back is killing me. I'm laying on the bed.
While we're recording.
And it was so hot in my room and I didn't have the fan on because I didn't want the fan going.
I gotta say, man, that's dedication to your craft. The fact that you made it on time, that is great.
So we had Neil on and he was epic. This is, as of right now, our most downloaded episode, and it is big.
It's great. He's such a wonderful person. Neil, you just have a way with words, and you never failed to bring tears to my eyes and snot to my nose and a smile to my face.
This was the one when I was like, you know what? We need to be a video podcast. And I know we aren't yet.
I'm glad because it was not attractive.
It would have been awesome. It was like a code snot rocket coming down your face the whole time. And Neil's like, Erica, do you need a second? You need to go get a box of tissues or something? Like,
when I say no, I used my shirt. That's on brand for me. Yeah.
So let's start off with the first Neil story here. And yes, that's a tease. You're going to get the second Neil story too, but we're going to start off with number 1.
You're welcome, everybody.
When he came up here from Florida to Vermont and did the Spartan Ultra, it was like the World Spartan Ultra or something. It was like a big time championship one. And he said he pussied out on the first one and realized no one from Florida even finished and goes, I got to do this. And he went up there and we were talking about carrying boats and staying hard.
David Goggins.
And he came up here wearing just like Adidas super flats or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Totally unprepared for this race. And it is a good story. So everybody,
please enjoy the first of Neil Murphy.
There's going to be a time when your faith in your farts fails you. And it will happen.
And I will share on this podcast. Oh, yes. You guys can look forward to it.
So I hope you got some good stories lined up. Not everything needs to include a code brown, but, we're not limited to DNFs, carrying boats, shitting in the woods, staying hard. Give us some of your good ones that you've left. So this will be the first time we're really hearing it.
I've got great news for you because every subject you just pointed out in that question is all covered in a single event.
Yes.
So I earned my bad ultra running status in a single event. So we're about 3 years into my adventures into running. So the year's 2013. Take you back to 2013. You know, party rocking is the hard song of the time, and rage comics are all the rage at the time. And what does the fox say? First hit the charts. We're in the mountains of Killington, Vermont.
Ooh, local.
Wait, where were you?
Killington.
Yes.
For the second Spartan Ultra. I was too big of a weenie to do the 2012 one, but after I heard that only one Floridian finished it, and the finisher rate for that event is like 20%, I was like, holy shit. Oh, this is the first out-of-state event I'm doing. This is the first ultra, like true ultra. I did the 50-miler thing, and I just, okay, it's a slog fest. You just keep going. It's on flat, in flat fuck Florida. Great. I want the mountains. Let's see what happens. And I have like the wrong clothes on. I have like the wrong shoes. The people that I was with, I had like these Adidas Climacools. That was the name of the shoe. Just flat on the bottom. And I would have just completely tobogganed down that mountain. But thankfully, one of the ski shops had like some Salomons that I got. So completely new shoes. Breaking in some new shoes. We're taking off the plastic wrap as we're getting to the finish line. What's the worst that could happen? So do this race, and I'm having a great time. We're at about mile 12-ish, and it's freaking cold. And this was the year, going back, 2013. This is the year of that polar vortex shit. I don't know if you guys remember that weather phenomenon.
Not that super cold, thing. Oof.
So it was in the upper 30s that day, raining on the mountains in Killington. Really cold. And we get to I'm running downhill on the mountains towards like Bear Mountain to where one of the aid stations was. And I look up to see, because, I'm stupid and I'm not looking at where I'm going. And I look up just to see if anyone in the crowd knows me, because I'm like, dude, this is the first crazy big event. Oh my God, I'm having a great time. I look up and just like my foot gives out from underneath. I hear like an audible, just like a really gnarly crunch. And like my ankle just goes completely sideways in a way that it's not naturally. I just fall to the ground. And it's like when you drop your phone with like the glass side on the ground. It's like Schrodinger's fucked up phone. It could really be bad. You're not going to know. And you're just like looking at you're like, oh God, how bad is it? And you look at it. That's like when you roll your ankle really bad, sprain it really bad, and you try to take that first step. That was a lot of what I did. First step, and I just immediately just plunge back down to the ground. I'm like, oh God, it's bad. It's really bad.
Oh no.
But it's so cold out. And like I'm just like limping. They had like the Spartan spear throw, and then shortly after that, they had like waist deep water that you're swimming through. Remember, it's 30 degrees out, really cold. And I get into that, and the cold water thankfully helped out my foot. And I get out of the water, and it's like, oh, it doesn't hurt as bad. There's an aid station right here with our drop bins, and some people were quitting, but I'm like, no. I think I'm gonna keep going. And I don't know if it was like the stress of what just happened with my body or whatever, but I really had to fart. And so we get past the aid station, and I'm jogging and everything, and I push out a fart, and everyone around me heard it, and everyone around me knew immediately it was not a fart. It was just the beginning of it. It was like the beginning of it was just like a bunch of air, and then it was like when you pop the cork of a champagne bottle, you get the solid piece, and then just a flume of frothy liquid. It was like that, but you heard it very distinctly. So it was just, and then like everyone turns around. They're like, oh, and the guy in front of me is just like, dude, that sounded very wet. That's gonna, that's gonna really itch when it dries out, kind of.
Oh no!
And he looks at me and he's like, did you just? And I'm like, yeah, I just shit my pants. And he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm just like, I think I'm going to keep going. And so I keep going, and I'm just like, oh no. I just shit my pants. And they had a low crawl after that, because this is obstacle course racing, if you haven't figured that out yet. There's obstacles in it. And there's this low crawl, but it's like, I just shit my pants. That's in my mind the whole time by this point. I just shit my pants. Oh my God, I just shit my pants. And I see one of my friends over at the low crawl. He was just finishing up the low crawl. I think it was my friend Mike Jacob. Calling him out by name, Mike Jacob. I remember you, buddy. You were out on that low crawl back in 2013. He turns around, he sees me, and he's like, Neil, hey man, how you doing? And without any consideration to the volume of my voice, I said very loudly to a big grouping of people on the low crawl, not good, Mike, I just shit my pants. Just really loud. And here I go with these long, I wore cargo pants to this ultra. Cargo pants. And so I have like poop sauce slathering in my cargo pants. And I get into a low crawl and I'm rolling in the low crawl. So now it's just like, it's just a rock polisher with shit. And it's just slathering everywhere around. And now it's just everywhere. And that just continues. And I'm like, okay, this is my life now. And I'm not gonna
own it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna dude, this is in Vermont. Like, I'm not gonna quit, go home and wait a year to come and do this again. I'm like mile 14, 15. Screw it. Let's just see what happens. Let's go. I know that there was like a swim later on where I can just kind of like shimmy my legs a little bit and just kind of get like the bulk of it out. And so, oh God, like a mile later, it's going downhill again. But when you really badly sprain your ankle, everything's loosened up, so it's easy to do it again. Sure enough, I wreck it again, and I'm at the top of the mountain. This is when like you see some raindrops, but at the same time you also see like a little bit some snow dropping. So I'm like, dude, it's getting kind of cold. I can't feel my hands, and like it's really going numb, and I need my hands for grip strength. So what I did, I would cram my hands down my pants, because your crotch is a warm part of your body. And so I'm going up the mountain with my hands in my pants, and there's still a little, it was after I got back in the water. There's still a little bit of traces of the brownout incident in there. And I'm just like, okay, this is nice and warm, but oh my God, I got to pee. I don't want to feel cold air anymore. I'm just going to go. And so I'm going uphill on the mountain, and I'm just peeing on my hands, and I'm just, oh my God, it's warm. It's reviving my hands. And so I'm going up the mountain, peeing in my hands, and I'm just like, oh yes. A guy in front of me turns around, and he sees me, just hands over my junk, and there's piss just dribbling down my cargo pants. He turns around, he's like, oh, that's smart. And so you kind of get an idea of just the mindset of everyone at this race. We're just so depleted by this point. He sees it. That's the first thing he thinks of, is like, oh, that's smart. And I mean, this race was just a crash course into everything we talk about now in the Bad Ultra Running group. I saw a lady like straddling a tree, taking a dump, like 3 feet off the course, and no one said anything. She's just like looking around at us, like halfway caring, just with like, full hanging mud snake making its way out, and we're just walking by like, yeah, you gotta go. Good job. Yep. Good job on the poop. And that's just what we did. And so we're going, we finally get towards the very last cutoff of that race, and I'm just so zonked out. And that was my first DNF ever. I missed the final point by I think it was like 200 seconds. I missed it.
No way.
And I couldn't even reach into my pocket to get my timing chip out, because my hands were so like locked up and like slathered in piss. So they were just like thumbling through my stuff, and they're like, did you really wear cargo pants to this shit? What the hell? And I remember my response was, I'm from Florida. Like
do you need any other explanation?
That's the
really?
General way to explain. Yeah, I'm a little bit stupid. And like that event, I still go out, and I go out to Killington every year now for the ultra. I go to that very spot that I got my chip cut, and it's just like thinking back, that was the best thing that ever happened, because like I never like Control Alt deleted my whole body and just like got so close to that point just for it to just still be a DNF. So I was out for blood from that point on. So I was just like, dude, if I can keep going, screw it, I'm gonna try it again. And so that was the big event for 2013. That was my biggest foray into like the ultras world, and that's the first poo story. Erica is.
I wish
might
we
make a boom boom herself. She's just going.
I'm broken.
Nuts right now.
He broke me.
I
We need a
apologize.
breather
We are not a
before we
video
go in.
podcast yet because Erica is just something
I'm
else
over
right
here
now.
crying. Have to lean out of the camera so you can't see me all the way. I'm blowing my nose in my shirt. I just can't.
We need to take a breather before we go into
Woo!
the story of Battlefrog 2014.
Oh, there's
The next
more.
one.
I'll tell
I'm
you what.
so happy.
I'll tell you what. The next time we have you on, because I know we will again, I will make sure this is recorded. I will make sure we record the video just for Erica.
No shame, you guys. This is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Oh my god. Bring it on.
No matter how many times I hear that, it just makes me crack up. Neil, you are so funny. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. We're gonna have you on for another episode. But
He will be back.
He's got to be back.
He's a guarantee.
Oh my god.
Guaranteed to come back. We'll have him on in the summer. I'm thinking we got to wait till the summer. He's got a couple big races coming up. So
You ever laugh so hard that you're just tired after?
laugh so hard
That's
it
what
hurt.
happens after listening to Neil.
You ever laugh so hard when it hurts right here on your temples?
Yes, you get an instant headache. Oh, yep. That's what's going on right now.
That was one of the best, and it's not the end. We'll get to Neil again later, everybody. But
Yes.
now we have Scott Black, who is part of our Road to Kona series, and he is coming up. The series is not over. We were supposed to interview about his Kona experience. We had the interview lined up, and the day before, he got COVID. And he goes, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I got COVID and I got to quarantine. I don't want to get you guys sick and your kids sick. And he didn't care about you getting you sick, Erica. He just cared about getting
Thanks,
my
God.
kids sick. And then, but guess what? The next week he flew to Italy, and it's about Christmas time. He's still in Italy, and he's coming back soon. So we're going to have him on soon.
I
But
guess that's a pretty good excuse.
we
though. Come
didn't
on.
want to do this one virtual. So
No.
if you remember, we were with him at his house, and we're going to fast forward to the second episode of the Road to Kona series when he went to Cozumel, Mexico.
I mean, he did have quite a few code browns we could choose from, but this one was definitely the
And he's had
best.
more code browns, by the way.
I know,
Yes.
but they don't know yet.
Okay,
So,
you're right,
we'll,
you're right.
we'll get to that, but this one's good.
I want to, lead you in here a little bit. It's a long interview, so I had to pick and choose what part of this best of we're going to do.
Yep.
So he starts Ironman Cozumel. He does the swim. It was supposed to be like a downhill swim. He said it felt uphill. Then he does the long, windy bike ride.
Yep.
But we're going to jump in on his run, and that is when things got hot and things went downhill for him a little bit. But then there was like that little competition between him and that one other guy he thought he was racing. And
Yep.
that Kona spot is right there. Or is it?
Within
We don't
reach,
know.
man. Within reach.
So that's where we're going to drop you off when Scott gets out of transition and start his run.
I hope you enjoy this part of Scott Black's Road to Kona episode.
I do remember you came out of the water somewhere in the 20th. I want to say 27th. But you were flying on the bike again, picking people off one by one. And I want to say you got into the top 3.
Yeah, second or third coming off the bike.
Is that age group or?
Age group.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be like, who are you all around?
No.
So we're right back.
Age group.
Okay.
So we're right back to where we were the last 2 races, where he's right on the edge of qualifying, getting top 2.
Mm-hmm.
We're right there again. Here we are, going into the run.
Yeah. So on the third lap of the bike, I was getting to be really hot, feel hot, and I was already grossly dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
So I pull into the transition tent, get off the bike, so you don't have the 20 mile an hour wind cooling you down a little bit. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that, oh my God, it's so hot.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but I'm watching the tracker and I see the guy in second, right? And his transition time going to make it up was 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So I yelled to you, he was 3 minutes. You need to be 2 to catch up. Just like that's an easy minute to catch on the guy. You were not that far behind him tracker wise.
Yeah.
Like he might be 10 miles into the run already, but I'm going based off of where he was at the same time when Scott's there because they don't start at the same time. They go off of what they think their swim will be.
Mm.
Yeah. And so I get into the transition tent, and that's even hotter than outside because you're on a protected plastic thing, and I'm just baking in there. So I didn't get out in 3 minutes.
Whatever time I told him he needed to be, like, hey, the other guy was 3 minutes. He was 2 minutes slower.
Oh.
So I'm trying to get him to be a minute faster. He ended up being 2 minutes slower, and I'm like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it was So I get out of the. Can remember getting out of the transition tent and starting to run, and I ran probably a quarter of a mile, and then I just started to walk because I was so dehydrated.
Oh, man.
I needed to get water into me. I was just so hot. So
They had sponges for everybody, right? And these sponges are in ice water. Well, because it was so hot and humid, everyone took multiple sponges. And I want to say, there was none left. You might have gotten 1 or 2, but there was not a lot to go around.
No.
Right? So we're talking, he's one of the elites. He's there in the first half of the field, maybe the first third.
And
you've got 2 other thirds of people who aren't going to get these sponges or these other things to cool down.
Right.
yeah, so it was 3 loops, right? Not 4.
The bike was 3.
The run was 4 loops.
The run was 4.
Was this
Yeah.
a different part of the course?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're running through the town. A lot of people. Then you just went out to one end of the island where all the fancy hotels are, and you loop back, do the same thing. It's mostly flat except for a small incline, but that incline starts to feel.
As a spectator, what was fantastic about the run course was you could go to one of the restaurants that would have outdoor seating, and you could be sitting right outside drinking and eating and watching people run by you 10 feet away and, hey, there's Scott, go Scott,
That's like a big F you to, hey, you're doing all this work and I'm sitting here drinking a beer.
I was having a great time with your brother and his family. And like I said, they treated me extremely well, and they treated me to everything.
So Eric,
I had a blast.
Yeah. So Eric and Angela, running next to me at points saying, you're doing great. You're third, or, so, but I'm shuffling.
So did you want to know that information, or was it, okay.
He gave me a whiteboard.
Because I was going to say, I'm like, is it just going to stress you out at some point?
He gave me a whiteboard and I'd write things down because maybe he couldn't process it, but he could see it.
Yeah.
I've thought about that a lot. And, at the time I certainly did want that information to be fed to me. And it's one of the big reasons I had for wanting to have a Sherpa there. It's because they can feed me the time. But now with a little bit more experience, I don't know if that actually makes any difference because it really doesn't make me go any faster. I think at some points it actually has the opposite effect. So, their first lap, they're telling me, you're third, and then after the second lap, they're like, you're fourth, and and that's and that's demoralizing.
Stop. Just stop telling me that. Yeah.
And I'm already picturing fifth again. So, they tell me you're at the end of the second lap. They tell me, or the third lap, they tell me you're 10 seconds behind third, or 10 seconds behind third.
Oh.
So, I'm like, okay, great.
That's a gap I can work with, though.
No,
maybe.
but I can't go any faster. But I do see this guy ahead of me with a 56 or a 57 on his leg.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, that's the guy who's ahead of me. So I, try and follow him. I do the run walk thing again at the food stations, and he just cruises past the food station. So he cruises by me. I see him. I walk the food station. I catch up to him. I pass him, and then it repeats at the next food station. He goes by me, and we hit the last turnaround, and at that point, I think I had to take a leak. So I just do what I had to do at that point, and he goes by me. I catch up to him again. That's when my stomach started to show serious signs of distress.
Oh, no.
What mile are we on?
Well, that was like mile 22, probably. 4 miles to go.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So after all that work, and now you're starting to get into the Code Brown situation.
Yeah, because I was way dehydrated. I didn't know it, but I was way beyond what's safe, actually. So that the stomach at that point is starting to feel messy. So I think at mile 22 is when I had my first. How do you describe it?
Code Brown.
Oh, so that's what we'll call it?
That's what we call it. Yeah, Code Brown.
Okay, so
Hashtag Code Brown.
So that's when I had my first hashtag Code Brown. But it was a reasonable Code Brown. So
let me just say this too. He just bought a brand new white and light blue triathlon suit.
Oh, no. So everybody knew about your Code Brown.
No. It's white on the top, dark blue on the bottom.
Oh, so the dark blue. Okay.
Yeah, dark blue on
But
the
it was
bottom.
brand new.
Yeah. So I caught up to him again, and I passed him. And then at mile 23, that's when I had the full-on Code Brown.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Number 2.
Yes. But luckily the tri-suit is very tight around the legs and has the absorbent padding for
the chamois, right?
For cycling.
Okay.
So it does help a little bit.
You had to run in that?
Well, it's
Yeah, you don't have to. But when you're like me,
Yeah. No, I get it.
where
Every
every
second.
second counts.
Yeah.
You don't stop and change and get into running shorts and a more comfortable thing. You're trying to you're just trying to get to the finish line as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So the guy passes me again. We get to a food station, and he just keeps on going. He's not stopping at the food stations anymore. So I'm running behind him. I can see him there, and then at like mile 24 and a half, probably, he starts to accelerate.
Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah. And I do my best to keep up with him. So I'm keeping up to him, and we're shoulder to shoulder going through the center of town. And with less than a mile to go, I just stop and I let him go because I can't go anymore. So I stop. I'm walking. At that point, we're probably like 200 yards before the final left turn to the finish chute, and I let him go.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that he only has 10 seconds ahead of me. So I let him go, and then I start running again to keep him within that 10-second time frame. And I turn down, and then take the left. There's another 100 yards to shoot, and I know that my niece and my nephew and my brother and his wife are there, and that all they want is Uncle Scott, high five. And I just didn't have the energy to do it. I didn't even have the energy to acknowledge that they were there. And I pushed to the finish line, And in the previous episode, Eric mentioned the ramp. Well, there I get to the base of the ramp, and it's a ramp to cross the finish line. And I stop at the bottom of the ramp. I don't think that I can run up the ramp. So I get to the bottom of the ramp. I walk up the ramp, cross the line, and I almost fall over. I lose my balance. I take a giant step to the left. I cross the line. It's not Mike Riley, but it's Scott Black. You're an Iron Man again. Mm-hmm. And I cross the line and I get the medal. And they say, "Do you need medical?" And I say, no, I don't need medical. Because all I'm thinking in my head at that point is, I want to get to a porta potty.
Yeah.
Okay. So they give me my medal. I grab 2 bottles of water and I head to the porta potty. I get into the porta potty and I close the door and it's dark. It's 100 degrees in there.
Oh, no.
It's 100% humidity.
Oh, gross.
I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So I set the water bottle, one on the sides, and I'm wrestling trying to get my tri-suit off, but I'm exhausted. And it's one of these things that zips up and it's tight and it only zips halfway down. And even when you're not tired, you have trouble getting it off. And it took me 20 minutes at least just to get the thing off. And finally get it off and I'm wiggling this thing, just sweating.
Oh, God.
And one of the water bottles falls in.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm
just reeling over the fact you were in like a porta potty for 20 minutes.
Oh, no.
You weren't?
I was in there for 40 minutes.
40 minutes? Oh, my God.
Because...
Oh, Scott, no.
Yeah. Because then I got to clean off the suit.
Oh, no.
It's just covered. So 40 minutes goes by. I'm baking in this thing. No, not baking. I'm dying in this thing. Okay. Trying to clean off the suit. Haven't had anything to eat. Mm-hmm. Haven't had anything to drink. Okay. Because I used the water bottle to try to rinse myself off.
Yep. Oh,
so,
no.
So finally, I think I've done a reasonable job. I get myself out of the porta potty. I go get my finisher's t-shirt. I go get a lousy slice of pizza because that's their after race meal there. A lousy slice of pizza.
Take notes after Mount Tremblant.
Now, the 40 minutes has gone by. I haven't had the massage. My legs are like stone.
Oh, my God.
And there were ice baths. And I want to go and take an ice bath because the ice bath would be good for my legs. Mm-hmm. So I go to the ice bath and I know I'm covered with shit. Okay.
Cut to the chase.
And I get into the ice bath and the ice bath is turning yellow around me.
Oh, God.
Or brown. It was just disgusting. The guy's saying stuff in Spanish. Mm-hmm. I know what they're saying. I didn't understand, but I knew what the hell they were saying.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there trying to rinse myself a little bit better, trying to, help my sore legs. That's when Eric and my brother finally found me. Mm-hmm. Now at least an hour has gone by.
Oh my gosh.
And guess who's
at that point
up?
I'd be worried.
Guess who's blowing up my phone? the worry work girlfriend.
Yes.
So they get me the phone and I always say, yeah, I'm okay. I
yelled to a guy who was volunteering. I'm like, take the phone and give it to him. And,
right.
And
you weren't allowed in there?
No, not allowed in there, just like Mount Tremblant. And I already have, it had to be one of your daughters on the phone, but you're in the ice bath and we don't know what just happened. Yeah. And this guy walks it over and you can just tell Scott's having a great time talking to someone on the phone, or at least what I think, talking to somebody, gets the phone. Oh my God, how are you doing? Yeah. Talks to your daughters, talks to your girlfriend. Right. I finally get the phone back. We think you're doing great.
Right.
And your brother left. He went back to the hotel.
Right. They went back to the hotel. So I'm in the ice bath. I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. finally managed to get myself up because my legs are just wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, do you want a picture with your medal? I'm like, yeah. So you go this way. So they shuffle me to go get my picture taken. And that's when I started to shiver.
Oh, that's a bad sign.
Yeah. And so there was a girl there who says, oh my God, you're shivering. We need to get you some electrolytes. So they hand me a bottle of Gatorade and I drink that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go wait in line for the massage because I know the massage is going to do me good. And I'm sitting there waiting for the massage. And I just had one bottle of Gatorade. I'm shivering. Finally, they get me onto the massage table and I'm just shivering uncontrollably on the massage table. And I'm covered with shit still.
Mm-hmm.
So they put an space blanket over me, and they're massaging me through the space blanket.
4 of them.
Yeah,
4 people.
4.
Wow.
I mean, and they're going like both arms, forearms, rubbing him, trying to rub him, like to get him warm.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I'm only 10 feet from you now. I'm kind of able to be around.
yeah, and nothing's working. So they call medical.
Yeah.
Medical comes over, and they say, we're going to get you over to medical, and we're going to give you an IV. So they wheel me over to.
Well, they didn't wheel you over.
I walked over to.
No. They strapped you down on a stretcher.
Oh, I already to get to there. I was already on the stretcher.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So take me over, bring me over to the medical tent, and
I am not allowed inside the medical tent, FYI.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm still shivering uncontrollably. They get the IV on me. They ask me, you okay? You okay? They're like, so they give me one IV, and and then they say, you have to pee. You have to pee. And I'm like, okay. I said, I don't know if I can. That's when my bowels just released like
Oh no.
like never before, and they had to cut my suit off.
Brand new suit.
My brand new suit.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's when they cut my suit off. So they gave me another IV, and that was probably another 45 minutes, another hour.
So about 45 minutes pass, and I'm hanging out around some fence, and I'm in between the finish line and the med tent, and there's not that much room, maybe 20 feet in between the two. And they come by and they go, who's looking for Scott Black? I'm like, that would be me. And they come over at one point, and they actually told me, you were doing really well. They told me you had a code brown, and you're on your second IV bag, and they said you were doing really well, and it might be another 15 minutes. So we're talking an hour tops. Another 45 minutes to an hour passes, and they come back, and they told me you got worse.
Yeah. So I got worse, and they say they're going to take me to the hospital.
And I think you had a second code brown in there.
Yeah. And they said they need to give me something stronger.
Oh my God.
So the ambulance comes. He jumps in with me in the ambulance.
And we go to a Mexican ER.
So you have this image of a Mexican ER being like some third world country ER, but it was totally the opposite.
Let me paint a picture. It looked like any normal hospital in a city in America surrounded by a third world country.
Okay.
Just like everything around it was definitely third world. But the inside of the hospital, besides being small, very clean, very white, very
Sterile.
Oh, yes. Their experience level might not be on a par with ours, but...
Well, the attendant was from Canada. She was from Canada.
Well, they had maybe some volunteer attendants too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they get me on my third IV. So in total, I had, 4 or 5 IVs?
You had at least 5.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is so intense.
Oh, yeah. So, and, by that point, it's probably like 10 o'clock. You'd call my brother. Brad comes over. So Brad's a surgeon, so he's tingling with the IV, making sure it's flowing.
They were so busy in this ER It was packed. I mean, we were.
Was it packed with Ironman?
Yeah, we were in better hands with Brad than with the doctors there. I watched, like, there were no curtains. I watched them struggle to tube somebody.
They were trying to intubate this guy, and they couldn't intubate him.
And he was passed out. He was unconscious. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm the same distance, for people who don't know. Me to you right now is about 8 feet. There's basically just an 8-foot hallway in between us, and I'm watching this thing. And I don't know if you're watching it because you're, like, out of it. But your brother's watching it. And he's like, I feel like I should go over there and do it for them.
Jesus.
He's like, I can do so much
That's terrible.
better.
Somebody needed a breathing tube. Right. Like, it was that bad.
And then there was the room next to me. I thought that guy might be dying. He did not die, but I thought he might be dying.
Wow.
And I'm like, you guys go take care of everyone else, because Scott, all he's doing is he has to pee every 5 minutes, and we can handle that.
Yeah, right.
You guys go save lives.
Yeah. So, they give me IV. So by then it's like, 10, 11 o'clock. When did I get discharged? It was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. We were there. I think we got back to the hotel at 2. We missed the finish, like the crowd at midnight and all that. That was definitely, we were not going to see that.
But the funny thing though is that once they discharged me at 1 o'clock in the morning, I was like jumping around.
Oh, you're back to normal. Good as new.
Doing jumping jacks. Felt great. Got a couple of videos of it. Like, feels amazing.
That is such a gnarly experience.
So dehydrated. It was just crazy. So
you were taking in, like, you said the food stations, you were taking in like drinks, but just not the electrolytes you needed.
Not enough.
Or you must have been like the deficit. You just couldn't get out of that hole.
Not enough on either.
My gosh.
I probably had to double or triple my normal intake, and no, I didn't nowhere near enough.
Oh yeah.
So
you needed those IVs.
It's the experience thing. You don't have the experience, but I gained experience on that for one of my next ones.
That is so. I feel like something that extreme, if it had happened to me, I would have to think. I'd be like, all right, do I really want to do this again? I would probably do it, yes. So that's just taking a moment to think about your decisions.
Right.
Okay, so we got back to the hotel around 2 o'clock, and we went to bed. The next day, how'd you feel?
I felt great. I wanted to go for a run. And yeah.
That's great.
Scott Black, what a legend. Can't wait to have him on for part 4 and hear a couple more of his stories. But really, I want to hear about Kona. And Scott, come on, man.
Come on, come home.
Come home, and let's record that.
Please.
So, real quick. I called you the other day when I was in Florida. It was really a couple of days ago.
You did.
And you said we're best friends. So I'm like, I need to tell you this because I was heartbroken.
I felt for you, man.
I was so heartbroken. So I teased before we went on vacation, I was getting a new watch. I want to tell you this. I had this Garmin for 6 years. And nothing ever happened to it. I would take it off for hockey games, and then I left it on for hockey games. And it worked great, but it's getting old. The wristband broke again. I'm like, all right. So I saved some money, and Black Friday came around. I bought my new watch. Brand new watch. Came in the mail the night before we left for Disney. I didn't even take it out of the box yet. I packed for Disney. It was 11:30 at night. I finally took it out of the box, and I charged it. We wake up in the morning, about 6 a.m., I put the watch on my wrist. I don't even look at the watch yet. Don't even play with it. I connect it to my phone. That's the only thing I did. But we go to the airport, we get on the airplane, and I got my new watch on. We land in Orlando, and we get the rental car.
Yeah.
So you don't have kids, but car seats. They're tough. And they got these little holes in the back that you got to feed your arm through. And my thought is, I don't want to ruin
your brand new watch.
My brand new watch and scratch it. So I take it off. And I put it on the center console of the car. Finished loading the car. Got all the car seats. And it's packed. This car is packed. It was like a RAV4. It was a Kia, but it was like
small,
a RAV4.
It was smaller than what you guys are used to. Yeah.
Right. And the woman there's like, you guys, this won't work for you. You need a minivan. And I'm like, I do need a minivan. She goes, you want this one? And I'm like, for no extra cost. She goes, you can have this one. And I'm like, okay, we'll take that minivan.
Yep.
And so we unpack the car, we load the minivan, drive to Tampa Bay, because that's where we spent. I'm stuck in traffic. I'm like, geez, what time is it? Naturally, I pull my arm up to look at the clock. Where's my watch?
Sheer panic sets in.
I had my watch for not even 12 hours.
Oh, man.
12 hours and I lost it. And I went through all the different phases of emotions, whatever they are.
Denial, bargaining, you know that.
I tried to call the car rental place 30 fucking times.
Ooh.
Could never talk to a real person. When I did, they would send me to the call center, and then they would go, "Oh yeah, we'll send you to them in Orlando." Boom, I get the call center again. Not even 30 seconds later, and they're like, "Oh well, they must have been too busy." It goes to the call center. Never once did I talk to someone at the Orlando car rental place. Drop the kids off in Tampa, drive all the way back to Orlando. It's almost a 2-hour drive.
Oh shit.
And the car's gone that we had. They had no clue. So, it's been a couple weeks now, and I filed a claim and everything. My watch is gone.
Of course. That's so awful.
And so I called you.
My heart breaks for you.
I called you when I'm driving home, not home, but I'm driving back to Tampa after I just left the car rental place again.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's no one else's fault but my own. But
still,
I didn't even have this brand new. It was a Sunto 9 Peak Pro or something like that.
Oh my God.
I didn't even have it for 12 hours. Never even got to run with it once.
Let's get a moment of silence for your poor watch.
Thank you.
Sorry to laugh at that. That's so sad.
Now on to the next part of our best of episode. I still don't have a watch, by the way. If you want to help me, you can go to GoFundMe. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a
Dude, I told you I have a spare watch. If you literally want that, I'll give it to you.
I know. I still have my old watch. I just gotta... man, I was so sad. So sad. Anyways, rest in peace, or enjoy your new owner, whoever it is. I hope you have a great life. On to the next one. Mike Beeman.
Oh, Mike Beeman, yes.
So, do you remember? You remember when we met him? This was different for me because typically we email people, right?
Yes.
And Mike's like, just give me a call. And I was on the phone with Mike for near an hour, and I'm like, I couldn't get much out because he just told me everything. I'm like, Mike, save it for the podcast. But at the same time, I'm writing notes. I'm like, this is so great. So one thing we didn't think to ask him, or we were kind of playing with, but we wanted to hear about the Boston Marathon bombing.
Yeah.
Because he's done 45 straight marathons. So he was there that year.
He was, yeah.
And randomly, I'm texting you in the middle of the interview, and I go, Erica, ask about 2013 and the bombing. I know he's got a story. And little did we know, that story was more than just the bombing. That story is about him and about this awful thing that happened to him about 9 months before, and being told, well, I'm not going to ruin it for you. So you guys are just going to have to listen. Yeah,
it's an intense story, and his comeback is unbelievable. So here we go.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Mike Beeman, 45 straight Boston Marathons, Make-A-Wish, raised almost $50,000 for Make-A-Wish. And this story is part of our best of. So enjoy the Beeman.
That's too cool. I love it.
That is wicked cool.
But so Mike, we want to hear about your experience with the 2013 Boston Marathon. So that was the year of the bombing. Where were you? Did you finish? Give us all the details.
It's an interesting story, and I hope I don't take up too much of your time. But
we have all the time in the world for you, Mike. Don't worry about it.
In 2012, in September of 2012, was the year that I snapped both quadricep tendons. And what happened at that point in time was I was doing, and I don't want it to come off like anti-CrossFit, but I was doing a lot of CrossFit, and it was really, competing at, doing those box jumps and this and that and the other thing. And I mean, in 2012, I was 56 years old, and I'm winning these CrossFit competitions, against younger people.
Wow.
And I was really hurting my quadriceps. I could feel it. They were hurting. And so I was out running one day on Labor Day, and I stepped in a pothole with my left foot, and I heard this loud snap. Oh. And it was a snap that I thought I broke my leg. And what happened, my quad tendons on my left leg both snapped because they just were ropes. And so when you land, you don't land like falling down. You land straight on your kneecap. And that jarring, when I landed on both knees, and my right did the same thing. And so I did the really smart thing. I tried to get up.
Oh, no.
All right. And I fell. I mean, it was as if somebody held me up with my knees bent and dropped me from 6 feet. So I bounced on my kneecaps. So I didn't have a cell phone. It was 7:00 in the morning. And I just waited for somebody to come along. I was sitting in the middle of the road with my legs out straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I snapped. I see the tendons curling up in my leg. When I did that, somebody came along on a bicycle. I told him what I did. He thought I had a heart attack. I says, no, just call an ambulance for me. And I gave him the keys to my car. I said, well, you go. I thought he would get my car. I'd get in and drive home.
It's a complete stranger, right?
Yeah. And so he did, and he brought my car back. I called an ambulance. I told, my, the kid's mom, Marie, I told them, that I was going to the hospital. I went to the hospital, and they go, what's wrong with you? You don't seem like you're hurt. And I said, just try to, touch my quad tendons. And they couldn't touch them. They would put their fingers on it, and their fingers would go right to the table because there was nothing in between. It was just, and my kneecap had dropped on both legs. So they said, yep, you're right. And so they said, surgery will be at noon. And they said, the doctor told me, he said, he was a visiting doctor. He said, your running days are over. And I said, that's fine. So I had the operation, but before the operation, I said, Doc, I says, when you go in there, check out my kneecap, my meniscus, my ACL, all those ACLs, ACL, NCL, all these things. So when I woke up, he said it was successful. Your left was worse than your right, but we sewed them up. And I says, did you put some titanium in there or anything, extra to, and he says, your knees are in perfect shape. Everything is in perfect shape. You have very strong supporting tendons. You just frayed your quadricep tendons. And when you fell on your left leg, you snapped the right leg too. And so he says, but you'll be able to walk, within a month or two or something like that. I says, that's fine. I have my running days, I figure. So then the next day they come in and they start the rehab, and all they did was move my knee. They brought my knee back into my chest and put it back. And it was the most excruciating pain I've ever been in. So I said, do it again. And I said, do it again. And again. So motion brings back everything. So while the nurses were out of my room, I practiced it. I would just do it on my own, and back and forth and back and forth. In order to be released from the hospital, they were going to keep me in there for 10 days. I had to prove to them that I could get out of the bed, get into a wheelchair, and get to the bathroom. Well, I figured that out within an hour. I was strong, and I would hoist myself out. So I got out in 3 days, and I went to rehab that Friday after the surgery. And I went in a wheelchair, and the guy said, you're going to be able to run again. In fact, you're going to be stronger if you do the rehab. But most people don't do the rehab. I says, if you tell me to do it twice a day, I'll do it 5 times a day. So I went to rehab 3 times a week and did it on my own, 10 times a day. And he was right. I think I walked my first mile about maybe 6 weeks later, and it took me 23 minutes to walk a mile. In the meantime, I had Boston coming up in 2013. So I decided that I was going to try to get to the point where I could walk a half a marathon in 3 hours by February. That was my goal. And so rehab. After 4 months of rehab, January, he says, I can't do anything with you. You're way stronger than. There's no reason for you to be here. So he released me from rehab. So I went to a half marathon down in Jacksonville in February of 2013. And I walked the first mile. Then the second mile, I walked for maybe a half a mile and jogged a half a mile and did that. And I ended up doing 2 hours and 19 minutes. And so I said to myself, something? I could do this Boston thing. It's going to work.
That's very impressive.
Everybody's telling me, you're going to get hurt. So just to prove to myself, I went to a marathon in March locally in Albany, and it was called the Snickers Marathon. It's a very good race, by the way. And I ran with a couple of ladies, and we did a 2-to-1 ratio, and I did it under 5 hours, right?
Very nice.
Said, all right, I'm good. So we go up to Boston, and my daughter, it was the first time flying. She's a junior in high school. First time flying. She's petrified of flying. So we go up there, and I said, everything's going to be great. So we go up there, and I have a friend who is from New Hampshire, and I taught him back in, the late 70s. And so he lives in Salem, New Hampshire, and him and his family let me stay there every year, for a long time. Now they've moved, but we stayed with them. And he said to Melanie, I will take you around the course because I know the course very well. So you're going to be able to see your dad at 4, 13, and 20, which is pretty good. And then at the finish. So, Melanie goes, and everybody back home's worried about me. I'm going to snap my quad tendon and so on and so forth. So I see Melanie at 4. We take pictures, selfies, no TikTok, but it was her phone. So halfway, same thing. And I think I had I was on pace to run 4 hours and 40 minutes. So halfway, I'm doing great. 20 miles, get to the top of Heartbreak Hill. And that was the final picture we took, was at the top of Heartbreak Hill. And I said to her, Melanie, I'm going to walk and jog the rest of the way, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to be real conservative. I promise. So then, I get into Kenmore Square, and I started getting a little emotional because I said, God, thank you. You got me through this. I'm going to make it. I got to the underpass. It's right before Hereford, where I'm talking about on Commonwealth Ave. And it was noisy, but I didn't know why it was. It's always noisy at Boston, but I heard noise, like it was just different. But I didn't think anything of it. And I got out of that tunnel and went to turn on Hereford, and the police literally threw those steel fences. They just closed the race. They just pushed the fences across the street so you couldn't get through. And I was like, what did he, I said something else too. What are you doing? And I saw people running towards us, like running, like sprinting. And I was like, what's going on here? And that's when they told us that, that some bombs, explosives went off at the finish line. So they're closing the race. Well, we're all like, what's going on here? And we looked it seemed like an eternity. We looked to the side of the road, and everybody's just standing there. Nobody's on their cell phone because they shut down the cell phone power. They shut down the towers. So I'm in this big group. In fact, the big group, there's a famous picture of all these runners standing there. It was in Sports Illustrated. I'm in that group of people. So being smarter than the average bear, I said, I'm going to find out what's going on. So I didn't hop the fence. I pushed the barricade so I went up the parallel street to Hereford and went up to Boylston Street. I knew I wasn't going to finish, but I wanted to find out what was going on. And it was just what a mess that was. It was chaos. It was, people are screaming. There's just all the carnage on the side of the road, on the sidewalk. The Whiskey's place was just blasted out. There's blood. There's people down. And I didn't even know what to think. And I didn't know where my daughter was. And for some reason, I thought she was at the finish line. But I knew later I reasoned with myself, she wasn't at the finish line because they weren't going to the finish line. They were going to meet me at the Copley Back Bay Hotel, which is way in back of the finish line. So they wouldn't even be close. Well, then the police started yelling at us to get off Boylston Street because they heard rumors there was going to be another bomb. And it's hard to move when you're stiff, you're sore, you're cold. I had the singlet on my back. It was kind of cold that day. I was freezing. I didn't know what to do. Everybody else is like reuniting with their family and they're moving, and I'm like by myself. I couldn't get in contact with my friend Paul or Melanie because no cell phone. Cell phones didn't work. So I literally looked up in the air and I said, Lord, what do I do now? And as I'm going down Hereford, I saw these kids walking into a building. and it was a frat house. And I tell everybody that if you had a bid number on that day, you were like, anybody would adopt you. You could have been the biggest stranger in the world, but anybody would have taken you in.
Mm-hmm.
So kids, the college kids, they were MIT students. They said, "Come on in." And they go, "You okay?" And I said, "Well, I'm cold." And they go, "Do you have people here?" And I said, "I do, but I don't know where they are." They said, "We'll take care of you." So literally, these college kids took me in. They said, "We have two things in our refrigerator. We have ketchup and we have beer." And I said, well, that I can't drink ketchup, so I guess the alternative is a beer. And they put a blanket on me. They gave me the nicest chair, and this young lady sat next to me with her cell phone and waited until she had cell phone service, which was over an hour.
Mm-hmm.
She texted my friend Paul, and because you couldn't make calls, and he finally texted back and said, "We're in Wilmington. We're at exit 38 or something like that in Wilmington." And I says, "All right." I said, "I'm in Boston." They said, "Well, get out of Boston and come up here," which was easier said than done because everything was shut down. The city was shut down. So I ended up leaving there. They let me go. They gave me a blanket to wrap around me, and I literally walked to Beacon Street and thumbed a ride to South Station, thinking I was the smartest man in the world because I could take a bus or a train up to New Hampshire, which you can, but not on this day. So I said to a police officer, I said, how do I get to Wilmington, Mass? I told him I was lost. I kind of lied. He flagged down a taxi and he said, and I guess it's called a state of emergency. He says, "You will take this man to exit 38 in Wilmington right now." And the guy did. I paid him, but he gave me a ride to Wilmington, which was quite a long ride. And then I got reunited with my daughter, but I had no idea what was going on. And to this day, I have that bib number, and mysteriously, there's 3 telephone numbers written on the bib number, which makes no sense because I never took the bib number off. The bib number stayed on my singlet because when I came, I got back to Paul's house, and I didn't have a phone, but Melanie did, and there was literally thousands of phone calls from people in Tifton. They didn't know if I was dead, alive, because I wasn't accounted for. And so I took the shirt off and threw it in my bag, and I ended up washing my I Love Boston College shirt with the bib number on. And it stayed on there for quite a while. And then when I took it off, one day I was speaking at some type of club here in Tifton, and I looked down and there's 3 telephone numbers on it. I don't know how they got on there, because how could you write on my stomach? I mean, I know I have abs of steel, but like, it's hard. If your bib number's on there tight enough, how do you write? So there was a lot of miraculous things. And the point Paul made to me is, what would have happened if Melanie wasn't there? Because I probably would have run about 5 minutes faster. And if I had run 5 minutes faster, I would have been right in literally. So you look at those blessings. So that's how 2013 went down for me.
That is a crazy story.
From the start of the tear in your quads all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about it, when I got back, nobody asked me about my quads. They just wanted to know what happened with the bomb and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But what really, the thing that put people over the edge is coming into the race, the Boston Globe did a full page in the sports section, full page article about me coming back from the quad surgery. And the reporter, Michael Vega, who covers the Red Sox, or he did, he's a very famous reporter, called me one day, and I thought it was a prank that somebody had him call me, but we talked for hours. He did a full page interview. It was like covered the sports section about me coming back. So that article was, I guess you call it syndicated. It went to a number of news sources. So a lot of people knew, because I did that. They were calling me, people from Arkansas and Nebraska were calling, "You okay? You okay?" Because somehow my name got out there from that article. And Michael Vega called me, and he was locked in his office at the Boston Globe. He was in lockdown, and he called my emergency number to make sure I was okay. What a genuine guy. He knew that one of those few people that came across the 40-kilometer mark. And when you come across the 40-kilometer mark, your chip registers.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little over 500 people who came across the 40K because they closed that. They closed it, that part. But there was people stuck in between that didn't cross the finish line. And I was one of those people.
Okay.
It was like we were lost. But they gave anybody credit who was over 30 kilometers. If you were over 30 kilometers, they basically took your time and they projected it. So I was, a few minutes away from finishing.
Mm-hmm.
So they projected mine at like 4:41 or something like that. So they gave us the finish. But some people were very upset because they didn't make it to 30K. And they said, what else kicked it? I just think people, it's just one of those terrible, terrible situations that we'll never forget.
Seriously, what an incredible comeback from Mike. Just double quad injuries, like that is something else.
And being told you'll never run again by the dock.
That is probably the worst thing a runner can hear, especially if you've been doing it for as long as Mike has.
In the journey of like, hey, if I think it was walk a half marathon, you'll see how it goes. And then he ran the Jacksonville Marathon, and you're talking just a few months later, you're doing a marathon again. So this guy, he's a beast. He's something else. The Beeman points, love it. Every time we run
we
down
still use those. Yeah. It's catching on. It's
great. So, Mike, thank you for coming on. I can't wait to see you again, hopefully up here, maybe Goffstown Gallop.
I'm hoping Boston
Marathon. Duh. April, which I promise you I will go to the event with you this year.
Sounds great.
Our next one is a recent one,
but
this one was good enough to make the cut for the best of.
Yes. Our next guest featured on our best of is a local runner who has quite a few Code Brown stories to share with us, but this one was one of the best.
This one will teach you to never leave the car on E.
Yes, we're going to learn from Tara and never leave our gas tanks empty.
Yeah, fill her up, everybody. Fill her up. So enjoy the best of Tara Watt. I know you do the She Runs This Town, but is it another group, that your little Facebook group? Do you have a name?
Not really. We just kind of call us the 440 crew.
That's it. The 440 crew.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
440 crew.
You don't run the same 4 miles every Tuesday and Thursday, or do you?
No, we've got different routes. We have about, just to throw a number out there, probably 7 different locations around Manchester that we'll run from. So it's just the who wants, and I'm like a big, like, I need to know the route. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple people that are like, oh, well, let's just wing it. And I'm like, no, we're not winging it. Like, it has to be exactly 4 miles. We're not running less. We're not running more. Like, I'm such a planner. So I plan probably 90% of our routes. But as long as I know where we're starting, I make a route, and we head off at 440.
And when you have saved routes and you know where you're running, you also know the special spots to pull over.
If necessary.
Oh, yes. And I will tell you, probably top 3 subjects that we talk about, one of them is pooping. We have some really great Code Brown stories in my group, and it's just like natural, which is great for me because I don't know what it is about poops and farts, but like I could be just handed the worst news of my life, and someone could walk by and rip a fart, and I just will laugh hysterically. It's just the inner child in me that has not grown out of it. And I don't know, my mother's the same way, so I blame her, but they're funny stories. And like the people that are like, oh my God, that's gross. Like, you're not my people.
Never grow up, Tara. Never grow up.
I will never.
I refuse.
Yeah. I would tell you about my first ever Code Brown story, if you're ready for it.
Yes. Oh, all right. Hold on. Let me get comfortable.
So I was running with Holly. Just Holly and I, we met I think we were at SNU. So we were running in and around SNU, and I didn't feel that great. And I will say, knock on wood, I have such a solid stomach. Like, I'm good with that. Like, I do have issues, but very rarely. So when I wake up in the morning and I run, I always try to poop. Because it's like, you got to poop. Everybody poops in the morning. That book, the children's book, everybody poops.
Yes.
What is Poop is the name of the book. I look at it every day when I'm...
You have that?
It's standing above the toilet, and it's behind the toilet, and I'm standing looking right at it. What is poop? And it's like a bunch of animals looking at a turd on the ground.
Wonderful.
See, I probably need a copy of that just so I could laugh and read it. But anyways, so we take off running, and we're running, and I look at Holly, and I was like, Holly, I think I'm gonna shit myself. And we just start laughing, and she's like, can you make it back to the gas station? And I was like, I don't know. And I think we're probably like almost a mile in at this point. And I'm like, I don't know, let's try. And so I was like, if we go back, and then we can just go back out and run more. So I start running a little bit more, and then I stop, and it's like the butt cheeks are clenching, and we're like dying. And mind you, it's 4:45 in the morning, pitch black. And it was in November-ish. So this time of year. So it was kind of cold out, leaves everywhere. And I was like, you know what? I go, this is it. I'm like, I'm popping my cherry. I got to poop right here. So I go over to the side of the road. I'm holding onto a guardrail. And I pooped, and I was like, oh my God, and Holly's like laughing at me. And then I'm like, what do I wipe myself with? And I look around, and there's leaves everywhere, but it was the type of leaf that was frozen. So like you pick it up and it just disintegrates in your hand.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm like, do I try this and then get a bunch of leaves in my butthole, or like, what do we do? So I searched around as I'm literally holding onto the guardrail one-handed, feeling around because it's dark out. I got my headlamp on, and Holly's laughing. She's like, that one looks good.
Thanks, Holly.
Trying to find the best leaf possible to wipe my butt with. And I found a decent one. And then we like went on with the run. So I was like, oh my God, I go, that has never happened to me before. And she's like, well, welcome to the club. So I was like, that was the day that I popped my cherry pooping while running. So
wonderful.
I can say of all my Code Brown experiences, I have yet to have to use a leaf.
Well, yeah, because you use a shirt. Have you ever kept the shirt afterwards, or do you throw it away? He doesn't think about it.
Oh, boy.
I would be like, this needs to be burnt immediately.
So, no, there might be one I still have in the rotation. You know what? I'm experienced at like washing poop on clothes because I have 3 kids. So it's fine. It's clean. It's sanitized.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, so now I try to be prepared, and I just grab a couple baby wipes and throw them in a little plastic baggie, throw them in my pocket or in something, and then I can take it out with me on the way out. So this year, knock on wood.
That's not wood. Anyways, go ahead.
I have not had a Code Brown this year.
Oh, that's good.
But the year of COVID, it was weird. The year of COVID, I had like half a dozen.
Oh, wow.
And
I had, so my probably funniest one, and I will never not get gas when I need to get gas. Like you always get gas the night before. And then I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'll get it in the morning. That morning I got in my car, my gas light went on, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot. And I'm like, I'll just get it on my way home. Went and met a couple girls, my girls. We ran the Alan Mello, the 10-miler Massabesic route for like a training run. And we're like 8 miles in, and the rumbles start coming. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I can do this. I got 2 miles left. I got this. And it's like middle of August. It's like 95 degrees out.
Oh no.
And yeah. And I'm just like, oh God. And I'm on like the bypass. So there's like, if I go off of the road, I'm going to be like crapping in somebody's front yard.
Oh no.
And I'm like, that's probably frowned upon. So I'm like literally like just shuffling because I can't move my feet that far apart because I literally think I'm about to poop in my pants. And we make it back to the cars at Massabesic, and it's happening. And I like dive off into the woods, and this poor tree, just like, it was like a bear or something. Like if you saw what I did, it was bad, but I got like poop on my shorts.
Oh no.
I was like, oh my God. I go, this is awful. And I'm telling the girls, I'm like, you guys, I just shit my pants. And they were like, that's okay. Like doesn't even faze them. And they're like, that's fine. It's no big deal. And so I get back in my car, and I have this like car seat, and like, it wasn't bad, but I like definitely had like some skid marks in my shorts. And I had like this car seat that I have for like the summer when it's super hot. So I sit on it, and I get in my car, and all of a sudden it's like ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, oh my God, I still need gas.
Oh no.
Oh my God. So I go to the gas station with the shit in my pants and I'm pumping gas and I'm like, wow, Tara, like this might be an all-time low. And I'm like, I have no idea what the back of my shorts look like. So if the guy behind me, if you're like, wow, that girl shit her pants, like, hi, I'm Tara. So yeah, so I drove home and I got in the shower with all of my clothes on and just was like, had a moment. And I was like, okay, that was fun. But
that's actually a smart thing.
Paper,
Go in with the clothes.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. And those were like my favorite. And I still have those shorts. They're my favorite shorts. I was not getting rid of them, but they went right in the wash.
There you go.
So
the whole leaf thing actually reminds me of, so just hamster wheel this past weekend. I did have to use the bathroom and I was really close. Luckily, if you were listening, you heard about Secret Toilet. So Secret Toilet was at the end of like right where we turned around. I was maybe a quarter mile from it, but I'm like, oh, I really, really hope there's a toilet there. And I was running with Rachel and she was making me laugh because I'm just like, I need to find a toilet right now. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to have to use like leaves. And I had such bad chafing in my ass crack that I'm like, these leaves are going to give me, and like I had running brain. So I was like, I couldn't think of like a word. So I'm like, it's going to give me like ass disease. Like, and I just couldn't think of a better word for it. So luckily I did find a toilet. My chafed ass did not get ass disease and it was all well, but
I'm so proud of Erica. This is the most she's opened up about her ass crack and chafing and having a real code brown.
If you really need to know, my ass chafes all the goddamn time and it is terrible.
This is what I bring out in people. I bring this out in people. So
I mean, I don't hate talking about it. It's just, it's not the most natural thing to come up in conversation unless we're already talking about it. So Tara, girl, I love you. You were just, thank you so much for sharing those stories with us. You are just a hoot. And let's hope that those code browns are few and far between in the future.
So, one more.
Our last one, and I have to say it's probably my absolute favorite. We got some more Neil for you.
Yeah, we could not let the
double dose of
we
Neil.
could not let any of Neil's stories. There are stories in between that miss this. We could have done just a best of and replay the Neil episode.
Basically.
This was good.
It was definitely my favorite one. So without further ado, please enjoy my favorite story thus far of the podcast.
But yes, I have air in my lungs. I should be able to function during this next story. So take it away.
So we had our code brown at Killington. You know, it was the first big DNF. You know, coming home with my tail between my legs. You know, coming home through the side door. There was a whole bunch of emotions that comes with the first big DNF at your first like big event. And so one of the big things was, okay, I really gotta train my ass off. Battle Frog was a big, super fun OCR at the time. It was Navy SEAL inspired, so you know, stay hard, carry some boats to the event. Really kick-ass event though. Awesome obstacles, awesome staff. I mean, it was like one of my favorites. I'm really heartbroken that they're no longer around. Battle Frog had an event called Battle Frog Extreme. They had different tiers of the event. They had like a 5-mile course, and I think they had like an 8 or 9 mile course. BFX was, you're going to run as many of the, I think you ran the 8-mile course first, and then you ran as many of the 5-mile courses. The distances in my head are approximate because this is back in 2014, but that's the general thing. Run the long lap and then run as many short laps as you can. You can bring like a little drop in at the finish and start corral area and just go however many you can do. And I think it was 12 hours. Go have fun. And they had this up down in Miami. So really, really hot. So we're driving down there. This is for BFX. And the first BFX event I was doing, I drive down. I always make a stop at a convenience store, just load up on beef jerky, like the Tijuana Mama pickled sausages. Love them with the aged block of preserved cheese and everything. Just gas station food. Love it. Filled
this
up
is like
on
the
that.
classiest like running food I've ever heard of.
Yes. I'm kind of doing a bit of a flex here. You know, admitting that that's part of my cuisine. That's usually what goes in the drop bins. That and MRE cheese spread. That's the big thing Spartan Death Race, I had 16 packets of that to give you an idea of just how much I love cheese during events.
Love
Anyway,
it.
so I get my filling of gas station food, and I gobble it up. Tastes amazing. My friend and I are doing this event together. He's driving, and so I'm just talking and eating at the same time in the car, not paying attention. And we stop at one spot, and I look at the wrapper of this beef jerky that I just so like voraciously ate. And the year's 2014. And I look at the wrapper, and the printed expiration date on it, it's like November of 2012. I'm like, this is the moment where I realized that I fucked up. And I knew I was in for a treat. More of a treat than I just ate now. Because this is going to come out in a glorious fashion.
Oh, no.
So I'm staying at a friend's house in Miami. And I'm already feeling it that night. Like the stirriness of the stomach. But it's kind of like the honeymoon phase of eating something bad. You're ripping some awesome, awesome farts. I mean, it's just an anal orchestra that night. I only have to get up once.
There goes Erica.
Night. Yeah, I only have to get up once in the middle of the night to just, crap out what would be my last solid one for a very long time, for a very long day coming up next. Of course, I gorge myself on a big breakfast the next morning, but I can tell, like, my stomach's giving me the signals. You guys know what I mean. The signals.
Oh, yes.
Like, dude, you fucked up. You're going to,
mistakes were made.
Buckle up, buckaroos. We're going to have some fun today. So I get the starting line. Already at the starting line, I got to shit. It's so bad. But I can't see a porta potty. And I'm just like, you know what? If I start running, maybe it'll just kind of like sort itself out. Let's see what happens. And so I start, and I haven't podiumed many races, and I'm already at the front of the pack. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm just running because I'm in a panic looking for a porta-john. I don't know. I finally see a porta-john. This is like mile 5-ish into the 8-mile course. I'm just like, oh, thank God. I get up to the porta-john. I'm running up to it. Because, like when you really got to go, you could be doing the most important thing in your life. You could be at the altar of your wedding. If you got to take a dump, that's the only thing that matters, is just getting that out of your system. And then when you finally see the end in sight, you finally see the finish line, your body is just like starting to break. It's like, okay, we know this is happening. All right, start removing the safety measures because this is happening. I see the porta-john, I grab the handle and I pull it, and it doesn't move. It's locked. And the aid station Karen is just like, you can't use that. That's for volunteers only. And I just like look, my hands are shaking. I got to shit so bad. And I'm just looking over at her. I'm just like, please. And she's like, now it's for it's an aid station Karen. It's like her little circle of power. She owns that area. That's her jurisdiction. And so I'm just like, oh my God. And this is in Miami, so there's just water everywhere. The course has a lot of water crossings, and there's like a lake behind this porta-john. And I tell the lady, look, kind of a half-truth. I have to pee, but I really have to pee out of my butt. And so I'm going to go to the lake. Is this okay? She's just like, yeah, you just can't use the porta-john. They're for volunteers only, for the third time. It's like her script, whatever. So I run to the lake, and immediately, as soon as my trembling feet touch the water, like it's just like the diarrhea farts are beginning, and I'm not even waist deep yet. So I'm like, oh no. And I'm running this event, by the way, in my underwear. I'm wearing like the same Under Armour underwear that you guys see in the Pizza Gut
Yes.
picture. That underwear is over 5 years old when you see it in that picture, by the way. So it is riddled with holes and everything.
You still have it?
The underwear. Yes. I will bring it up to Killington for you guys.
Is it in the rotation?
Yes, of course.
Oh, right.
And so I get into the water, and immediately I just drop trowel. I don't care if people see ass cheeks as I'm descending into the water. And then I'm just like in a panic, and it's just like Dumb and Dumber. And then it's just this cloud of like mustardy flume, and you can hear the force of it in the water. It's just you can hear the explosion under the water, and then I'm just like sitting there almost crying, just so relieved as like the water bubbles up in this carbonated thing, but it's, you know, poo fumes. And I'm just like, oh my God, I finally got it out. My stomach's hurting like crazy. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I feel better a little bit. It still hurts, but I feel better. I get up, and then I get back on the course, and I run. I'm just okay. Thank God. I think that was the expired beef jerky. I think it's over. And as Billy Mays, the great late Mays, would say, but wait, there's more. Because we get to about a mile before the finish line, and there's a water crossing that leads to the lake that I already defiled and created an EPA violation in. And it's like an automatic response. Like as soon as my feet touch the water, my mind is just like, oh, we're at your toilet again. Let's go poop. And so I get to it, and I'm like, oh my God. And then the lifeguard looks at me. I'm obviously distressed. And he's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I have to pee, which is kind of the, you know,
half true.
out of my butt. And I just kind of swim off. I swim off, and downstream is away from me. So no people are going to ever get close to this horrible thing I'm committing in the water. And sure enough, I do it again. Just yellow flume. You know, the gases just sprinkle up to the top, and I'm just like dry heaving as it's happening because it just smells awful. I can smell the beef jerky, and it's just terrible. And then then every single time I reach the porta pot where the aid station Karen is, it's for volunteers. I know, shut up. We talked about this on the first time. And so
this is your fault, Karen. Come on.
I know. I sold that. So the porta potty crossing near aid station Karen, and then the water crossing again before the finish line. Every single time we're doing the 5 mile, like clockwork. I just feel like it's got to go. So I must have crapped into that water, if you want to call it a crap, because it was just violence. I unleashed violence into that water at least 12 times. At least 12 times. God. And it just would not end. And so it finally it was finally letting up. The final lap where I just finally there was nothing left in me to poop out. I was just so drained. I'm just running through with food poisoning. And then there's just the final lap. There's nothing more to poop out. And then I get to the finish. I place second overall with food poisoning. I'm just like, what? How? I don't belong at this place. Don't
even
congratulate me. Yeah, I had to stop so many times. And just like, that was like the worst I've ever felt during a race. Well, okay. The rest of those stories will be for another time. And placed so incredibly well. It was just such a mix of feelings, just strutting into the finish line with absolute disgust. And then there's just, yeah, you're second. And I'm just like, oh, cool. Thank you. I'm so sorry. just
You're going to need to drain that.
You got to just drain the whole lake. I mean, it went out into the ocean.
Oh, no.
So cool, I guess. It's Miami, so you got to do something to reduce property values there because real estate's pretty crazy down there, I guess.
Good job.
But that was, thank you. That was Battle Frog 2014 with just horrific food poisoning. It just wasn't. It was just a roll of the dice. You don't know what chemical consistency it was, solid, liquid, or gas. Every time I got into that water, I was like, "What's it going to be?" And it was just violence. It just came out as violence the whole time. So very early on into my foray of running, did I embrace just yeeting ass mustard out of the old moss cave and just letting her rip, having a fun time. And there's been some other events where I just have, just crap on the trail like normal. Nothing I still podium at or nothing that's like violent. But, if those ultra runners listening right now, if you got to go, and if you're past like mile 10, no one cares anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Just grab a tree. Just go. Just let it go out. Just be loud and proud. Don't try to. You can't have a courtesy flush anyways out in the woods. See if you can make it echo in the mountains.
Yeah.
Just learn your power. Learn your power.
You're the best.
Oh my god. I have a cramp.
You should drink Eric's Pedialyte.
I know.
He's been chugging that throughout the entire episode. He's like he's killed half the bottle now.
No, look at it.
Going nuts.
It's empty.
Yeah, see, he doesn't have cramps.
I'm just wiping my nose.
Hey, actually, as
My
this
shirt's
podcast,
covered in snot.
Drink your Pedialyte, Erica.
as this interview has gone on,
Lesson.
I've slightly felt a little better and a little better. It's just the room's so fucking hot in here right now. I'm like, ah. And I'm lying down like this. At one point, I'm looking at myself. It looked like I had no pants on, but I'm like, nope, this feels good on my back right here. This is where I'm going to be. Oh,
Absolutely. You are a fucking legend. I can't.
So those are my my two Code Brown stories. I look forward to.
oh my God.
Maybe in No Business we'll have some other stories of Code Browns happening. We'll see.
You can come back whenever the hell you want. You are like resident awesome dude.
I really hope you guys enjoyed this best of episode as much as I have. Those are our favorite stories, and there's more to come.
What did we learn there? Check the expiration date.
Always check the expiration date.
But I like his style. He's like, all right, whatever. Go with
How
it.
long was it expired for?
It was like over 18 months.
Oh my God.
The race was
Learn
in
from him, people. Learn from Neil.
The race was in 2014. The expiration date was 2012. It just depends
There you
on the
go.
month. So
Yep.
yeah, we learned
Oh.
check the expiration date. We learned fill up your tank.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned don't show up to a race wearing flats.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So thank you everybody again for this great year. Have a great holiday. And we got some interviews we've already recorded, and they're going to be great. January is going to be good. This year is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hopefully meet a lot more of you at some races, but enjoy the holidays. Have a happy new year.
You good?
I'm good. A little burp there in the mid-sentence.
It's very on brand for us.
Yeah, very on brand. So, yeah, we just talked to, okay, let's tease a little bit. We have a nutrition coach.
Mm-hmm.
We have a running coach coming on soon.
Yes, we do.
We have a local girl who now decided to get out of this cold weather, and she lives in Hawaii now.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some people running for the Boston Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some people doing underwear races.
Yup.
Yep. So it's going to be good.
We're going to have a good lineup for you guys. So just stay tuned. Enjoy your holidays.
And
Spend it with family and friends.
And thank you for checking out our best of episodes. And we'll talk to you all soon. So thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Leave us a review. I've never really said that before, but hopefully you like
Couldn't
this.
hurt.
All right, Erica, take us away.
You know the drill, everybody. Don't forget to stretch.
Some of the pine cones are old, and the old pine cones work really well. It's the new, fresh, green, sappy ones you don't want to use.
Oh.